Exploring square roots. Square roots and perfect squares. What are they exactly? A number that is multiplied by itself to form a product is a square root of that product. For example, 6 squared will equal 36 because 6 times 6, which is itself, is 36. 6 is one of the square roots of 36. Every positive number has 2 square roots, one positive and one negative. The radical symbol indicates the non-negative or principal square root of a number. A negative or a minus sign is used to show the negative square root of a number. See the examples. Square root of 36 equals 6. The negative square root of 36 will equal negative 6. The number 36 is an example of a perfect square. A perfect square has integers as its square root. Find the value of each expression. Pause this video and find the square roots of the following expressions. The square root of 121 is 11. The negative square root of 49 will be negative 7. The square root of 225 would be 15. The negative square root of 25 will be negative 5. And the square root of 144 will be 12. Back to squares. What does that mean? So if I have a side length of 8 units, if I square those units, it will be 64. If I want to go back, I will find the square root of 64, which gives me 8. The area of that square will be 8 squared, which also equals 64 units. But what about square roots of numbers that aren't perfect squares? Number 2 does not have a whole number square root. Therefore, it's not a perfect square. The square root of 2 is what we call an irrational number. Irrational numbers are numbers that cannot be written in a form of a over b, where a and b are integers and b does not equal to 0. Irrational numbers are non-terminating, non-repeating decimals. For irrational numbers, we estimate the value of their square root. So how do we estimate the value of the square root of 2? To estimate square root of 2, find the 2 consecutive perfect squares that 2 falls between. In this case, it would be 1 and 4. Because if we take the square root of 1 and the square root of 4, once we simplify those square roots, it would be square root of 1 is 1 and the square root of 4 is 2. Which perfect square is it closest to? In this case, it will be 1. If we use our graphing calculator to verify, we can find out that the square root of 2 is 1.41. And this is how you will graph it. You will locate the value on the number line. So we know that the square root of 2 is between 1 and 2. And we verified that the value of the square root of 2 is 1.41. Therefore, we will graph it closer to 1.5, which it makes it closer to 1. Estimate the value of the square root of 7. We will take the same steps. We would find 4 and 9, because when we take the square root of 4 and the square root of 9, we will find out that it's 2 and 3. Which perfect square is it closer to? Well, we know that the square root of 4 is 2 and the square root of 9 is 3, right? So we know that square root of 7 is between 2 and 3, but it is closer to 9. Once we plug it in the calculator, we can verify that the square root of 7 is 2.65. And when you graph it, you will locate the value on the number line. It's going to be a little bit past 2.5. When you graph this, you will graph it as square root of 7.